Syria today reaffirmed that it will not use chemical weapons if it possesses any, whatever the circumstances may be, as it is defending its people against terrorism supported by known countries, citing the USA on top. Syria's reaffirmation came in two identical letters addressed by the Foreign and Expatriates Ministry to the chairman of the UN Security Council and the UN Secretary General. The US administration has constantly worked over the past years to launch a campaign of allegations on the possibility that Syria could use chemical weapons during the current crisis, said the ministry. It reiterated Syria's openly repeated stress through the diplomatic frameworks that it will not use chemical weapons if it possesses any, whatever the circumstances, because it is defending its people against the terrorism supported by known countries. Above all is the United States of America. What raises concern, said the ministry, regarding this news circulated by the media is our serious fear that some of the countries backing terrorism and terrorists might provide the armed terrorist groups with chemical weapons and claim that it was the Syrian government which did not use the weapons, said the ministry in its letters. It referred in this context to information revealed by the Turkish York newspaper, which said that members from Al-Qaeda are manufacturing chemical weapons at a laboratory near the Turkish city of Gaziantep, and that they have threatened to use them against the Syrian civilians. The letters also made reference to the Turkish newspaper indicating footages posted on the internet in which terrorists appear making poisonous gas from chemical materials which Al-Qaeda got from a Turkish company and which were tested on living creatures. Those countries launching the campaign against Syria had better follow up on that act and hold these terrorists and the parties which helped them to get the chemical materials to account, the Foreign and Expatriates Ministry said. It pointed out that the Syrian government, out of its care for its people's lives, and asked the UN supervision mission to visit, inspect and calculate the stocks of a private sector chlorine processing plant located to the east of Aleppo city, after information that the terrorist groups were planning to hold it. The supervision mission, however, could not do this because the terrorists opened fire on its members as they were trying to visit the plant, the ministry added. The terrorist groups recently took hold of a plant which includes tons of poisonous chlorine following the latest US Western campaign, with all the risks this issue implies, it said. The ministry expressed serious warning that the terrorist groups might resort to using chemical weapons against the Syrian people and its denunciation of the international community's inaction to deal with the developments after the terrorist groups recently took hold of chlorine processing plant to the east of Aleppo city. Syria also denounces not holding the supporters of the terrorist groups account, according to relevant UN Security Council resolutions, the letter added. The Foreign Expatriates Ministry highlighted that Syria has scores of times made it clear that it will not use chemical weapons if they exist against its people under any circumstances, and stressed that it's committed to its legal obligations according to the agreements and protocols it signed. It went on saying that Syria was not surprised by the US move a few days ago to foil the UN efforts to hold a conference to establish a zone free of weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East, which was due to be held at the end of 2012. A unit of the Syrian Arab Armed Forces killed terrorists belonging to Al-Qaeda-linked Jabhat al-Nusra who terrorized the locals and vandalized their properties in al-Husayniya, Hujjera and Aqraba farms in Damascus countryside. An official source said that a car equipped with a heavy machine gun and 3 cars which were carrying weapons for the terrorists were destroyed on al-Husayniya al-Zwaybiya road. The source added that units of the army killed several terrorists in the area between Sayyida Zainab and Vegetable Souk in Hujjera and destroyed their bins. The source added that the Syrian armed forces restored security and stability to the farms surrounding Aqraba, after inflicting heavy losses upon the terrorists there. In Aleppo, a unit from the Syrian Arab Army carried out 2 qualitative operations against gatherings of terrorists belonging to Al-Qaeda-linked Jabhat al-Nusra in al-Sha'ar and al-Ansar areas, inflicting heavy losses among them. An official source said that the 2 operations resulted in killing a number of the terrorists who were perpetrating massacres and intimidating the civilians. In Dar'a, a clash for money among members of 2 terrorist groups in Khirbat Ghazali resulted in the killing and injuring of a number from both groups. A source in the Interior Ministry said that the fight happened between the terrorist Ammar al-Ammour, the leader of a terrorist group, and his brother from one side, and on the other side a number of terrorists including Khalid Biddawi and his brother Mahmoud Ahmad al-Nazir, which belonged to Jabhat al-Nusra of Al-Qaeda. They were fighting about distributing the money which was sent to Ammar from abroad, and he did not share it with the other terrorists. The source added that the clash resulted in the killing of Muhammad al-Biddawi and the serious injury of his brother, in addition to the injury of Ammar al-Ammour and some of his brothers. In Saraqib, Idlib province, a den used by armed terrorist groups was blown up with the terrorists, ammunition and weapons inside it, killing scores of the terrorists, the majority of which were non-Syrians. An official source pointed out that the explosion of the den took place as the terrorists were preparing explosive devices.